three missing Montgomery College students continues in Frederick County.
And I got to play with your wand. It was great.
Definitely fun.
Keep going.
I heard Evan was the cool one. So
Hey,
I wanted
dude.
to kinda like, I wanted to
Somebody
see if
told
that
you
was,
right.
I wanted to see if that was true.
You gotta get off
An
Reddit.
unbiased perspective.
You're getting your information in the wrong places if you heard
I
that.
don't know.
Holy
We don't know who you're
shit.
talking to, but welcome to Footage Foreplay, Ryan. I'm
Thank
Terrell.
you.
That's Evan, who you just talked to. He's probably about to smoke and be disrespectful, but that's Evan. And then you got Russell.
Hi.
So welcome to Footage
Hello.
Foreplay, Ryan. How are you?
I am doing pretty well.
Where are you located at the moment?
Louisiana.
Oh, shit.
I'm in Covington, Louisiana, so that's about about half an hour from New Orleans.
You know
Okay,
where
I'll see.
Waynesboro, Mississippi is?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's where I'm at.
Oh, okay, hey.
So
We're
avoid it.
next door neighbors.
That's it.
So he's going to be stalking you next, but
fine.
by all
It's
means.
fine.
So you ever go to the Mardi Gras parties and turn up and, get some lays?
Oh.
Maybe they throw beads at you?
Hell no. No. So when you live there, when you live in Louisiana and you deal with that shit all the time, like it loses its appeal when you're about 9 years old, and then when you're about once you can legally purchase the alcohol, all of it's gone. It's not fun anymore.
Okay. Nice. So you have an awesome idea here with your website. Oksana found it and she was like, "This is really cool." So you put together like cool little boxes for like movie nights. You have some really cool nooks on there too. Nooks, are those like little shelving things like you put in between your
Yep.
movies?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So let me grab one that I got here. So like there's the Jason Voorhees one.
Yeah.
And, so these are to go in between physical media. So these are scaled down to fit directly. Now they fit flush with Blu-rays.
Yeah.
But so they're just to be small to have it, just like a book nook, but just in physical media. I'm actually printing. It looks like it might mess up, but we'll see. A full book nook size for to be able to have that for all of them. But the one that I've wanted to do for a long time can't be scaled down, and that's Freddy Krueger. So
with the claws,
it has to be the full version, and that comes with just issues with manufacturing the hand and the glove. So I'm doing the full version right now, which is going to be 20% bigger than all of those. And then I have those. They're not all horror. There's Lilith from Diablo 4.
You 3D print all this stuff?
Yep. So these are 3D printed. They are designed by a guy that I'm fortunate enough to be able to work with and be able to manufacture them. And then so I bring them through my machine. I tweak the settings, get it exactly how I want. Because what most people are familiar with 3D printing is usually not something to this kind of scale or this caliber. And then sometimes I also will hand paint them as well.
Oh, I love it.
I'll take them and I'll go ahead and hand paint them. So I've got a bunch of those as well.
Yeah, I saw
like
you
that.
have a Ghostface one, which I love. And you have Art the Clown with all the blood on his face. Yep. I was living.
Yeah,
Nice.
Art was the very first one. Art was the first one that I went to paint because I've been 3D printing all in all probably about like 5 years. And there's a couple different types of printers. There's one called a resin printer, which you can make very small detailed models out of it. But it's it's toxic chemicals, so there's a lot of cautionary stuff, a lot of cleanup stuff, and it's not worth the hassle. But that's how I started painting. I started doing that, and then I had the Art the Clown one. It was Halloween. I was Art the Clown for Halloween, and then so I just it was just like it's just hair up my ass, and I was like, let me try it, and then I was like, this kind of looks like shit, and then my my partner was like, just fucking throw some blood on it, so I was like, all right, and then so I did that, and I was like, that now it works.
To life. Yeah, it looks
now
good.
it looks what I want. Yep.
So where did this? Okay, Evan.
No, I was just gonna say I like that you offer the non-painted ones and the painted ones because they're. I mean, like that way people can, if they want to paint their own, they can. You know.
Yeah, and I've done a couple of videos on TikTok, and I need to do some more as well with people talking about if you wanted to paint them, what would you have to do? Because this is plastic, and so there is a completely different set of steps that you need to do if you're going to
Yeah.
want to paint these. So I've talked about that kind of stuff, but it started out as just having just the regular 3D printed ones. Now we have them to where they're all in this like marbled type of finish with the white box, and that came with just over time of I used to offer a lot of different color options, but then I was like, nobody wants like a yellow Frankenstein, so like what the hell is the point of that? And
Yeah.
the white marbled was the most commonly purchased one because it kind of looks like a statue.
Yeah. Are they weight wise? Are they heavy enough that like if you had a shelf with no ends on it that they would hold up the movies, or would you have to weight it?
So for what I've noticed is that because of the fact, so these are not necessarily heavy at all. You're probably looking at about 2 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's because of the size. So with the size of them, I have noticed no issues. So I have them on going between physical media. I've got them going in between books. Now they do have notches where you could wall mount them, but I just use command strips. So I've wall mounted some, and I've never run into an issue with them.
Okay. Cool.
So it's just one of those things that I do say is just kind of, I guess, just be aware of it, because some of them have, a lot of different appendages and
Right.
things like that could create some issues. So, because I have broken them before, but it was just because of just not being careful and not thinking about it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But they're very sturdy. And I haven't had any issues with anything toppling over or anything like that.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because I've got some shelves in this shed that I would like to repurpose soon. They don't have ends on them, so I need to figure something out so that my shit doesn't like fall off of it. Well,
Yeah, and it depends on. It depends on, like, I guess just how many is on there. So essentially, the way that I do it, because even though I have a shelf right here on my desk, it has ends on it, but I have ADHD, so I'll have to completely change it because I'm tired of looking at it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that comes into not using the full space. So as long as it's kind of nice and tight together in there, like your DVDs, Blu-ray, 4K, whatever you're using, as long as you're not like kind of trying to jam pack a bunch of stuff to where it's going to eventually kind of accordion spill out, as long as it's just normal in there, you're fine.
Okay. Cool. Might have to get me some of these then. Go ahead, Terrell.
Or make sure, because you keep cutting me off now. All right. So I like the whole idea of getting a box in the mail. I used to subscribe to like Horror Pack and stuff. You get like a little box and you get like 4 movies. One's a mystery, or during the holidays you get stuff like a Christmas horror film or whatnot. So I like that idea. So where did this start for you? Because you add other little trinkets. How do you pick these movies that are going in there? And yeah, just sell me on it. Where did this start? And yeah, all that.
So it started. It doesn't have like a happy beginning. It started because I had lost my job, and so what happened was I had an incredibly large physical media collection from I don't know if you guys are like big on like physical media collection, but
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so it was about 75% label releases, 25% studio releases, probably about over 1,500 titles total, and I had to sell it. So I didn't have, I had nothing to do. I had payments and everything like that, and I'm looking at it. And I'm looking at a couple of different things. Like I'm looking at the Friday the 13th Scream Factory box set, and I was like, people will still buy that. Or I had Severin's Al Adamson box set, which was out of print, and I'm like, I could get money for that. And so I had kind of fallen off on film watching, or just my obsessive nature of it. Because again, ADHD. If you have a hyperfixation, it might taper off, but it'll come back. And through selling it, through like going through all those movies and having to sell them, it brought that fixation back and brought that passion back. And at the same time, as I was kind of running through with it, my partner Sammy, she started getting into certain books. She got into book talk and everything like that, and then so she started getting, and I started seeing these blind date with a book boxes. I was like, it's a cute idea, and it's kind of the same thing as to what I do, but just with a book. But what I was noticing was that the stuff they were putting in the book boxes were just kind of cheap stuff, like, oh, we'll throw a bookmark in there or a
Some original
pen.
trading.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, and it's like $50 for it. And I'm like, you're insane. So I was like, and I remember Horror Pack and everything like that. So it was kind of that idea, just taking those two concepts. But I was like, let me make sure that what's inside the box besides the movie actually makes sense. And so like I'll have, because I include a bag of candy in there. So you've got like a little bag clip to go with the bag of candy. Fidgets, because I have to use them when I watch films. So try to make everything make sense. How I get the films is random variety of retailers just that are local. And then a little bit online, and then you've got any type of secondhand because I do offer pre-owned. The reason for the pre-owned was because when I started, I still had some of my collection, so I could have pulled from there, which I did. But it's also because you can, and I encourage people to put as much information in the order notes as possible. Like if you're on Letterboxd, tell me what it is. If you talk about it on social media, give me your username. Because I'll spend an afternoon going through everything to try to get what fits your vibe best. If anybody's like, hey, because somebody asked me a couple days ago on TikTok, what about trigger warnings? And so I was like, let me know what your trigger warnings are. Because, like the whole concept of the Movie Night Box is curation over algorithms. And so like I can randomize it if you just want to, kind of spin the wheel and see what happens, and I'll do my best to try to get something that is what I feel is a little bit overlooked. But yeah, what's nice is when people put as much info as possible, and that's where I encourage them to choose the pre-owned, because then I have more variety as to where I can go, because I could find a film that might be perfect, but it's a little bit more than what I would normally spend. But like I said, it's all about trying to get the actual, like the best thing for them and try to curate the experience.
Can you give an example of a movie that you picked for somebody after like looking at their Letterboxd?
Yeah, I mean, so for a couple of people, here's an example. So, this was when I was just starting out, but just to kind of kind of break that down. There's a guy on TikTok that I was a big fan of. He helped me out when I had to sell those movies. He actually bought a bunch from me, and so it was early on, and I sent him a box, and I knew a little bit about this guy to begin with, so I spent an afternoon kind of going deeper and deeper into his likes, and I found out that this is where my research kind of had a gamble, but it paid off, because I could tell, all right, this guy loves things like Mike Flanagan and things that Mike Flanagan has done, like that kind of vibe of film. So I was like, you know what? Mike Flanagan has done so many phenomenal things, but I don't think enough people talk about Oculus. And so I gave him Oculus in there, and it worked out in both ways. Even though it was one that he had seen, it was one that he did not own in his own collection.
Yep. That's a great movie, by the way.
It's a phenomenal movie. And there are times when, especially people that are diehard fans, I may, I can't guarantee that you're going to love the movie. I can't guarantee that, it's going to be the best thing that you've ever seen. You might end up hating it, maybe, but it's basically like the choice in what I'm giving you, or the option. It's not a random option. It is even though at its core, even if, a film didn't work for somebody, my hope is that they could still be like, well, I can totally see why you picked that one, though. Because generally that would be right up my alley, but maybe the supporting cast member pissed me off and was really aggravating and took me out of the movie. Like, I can't control that, but I just want to make sure that I can kind of hit the boxes.
That's cool. You're giving it a personal touch like that.
Yeah, that's what it didn't start out that way. It started out with just kind of bare essentials for what you can do, and it didn't even start out with horror. It wasn't originally supposed to be, because I had an idea that I hadn't seen anybody doing, and so I was like, well, you can't pigeonhole yourself right away. You can't kind of it's already going to be a niche product because it's physical media. So, I didn't want to make it so niche. And then the people that found me was the horror community. So I was perfectly fine with just transitioning into as much horror as possible because that's my bag.
Mhm.
But I didn't intend for it to be, but it was just kind of a happy accident.
Yeah.
To kind of go that way into it. And the personalization, the idea of curation over algorithms within horror, I think was something that I really wanted to stand behind because so much of movie watching for horror fans is algorithms and then the same people on TikTok talking about the same movies over and over and over and over and over and over again. So it just, I don't know, it becomes an echo chamber, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different.
What would a non-horror pack look like? Like I mean, you're a horror fan, and
Mhm.
this community is kind of like thriving, and it's very like insular. Like we love our shit, and we keep digesting it. But like, did you have like somebody who's a big like drama nerd like hit you up and be
No.
like,
No, so because of the fact that for me, I mean, even though like I'm a horror freak, I'm a movie guy in
Yeah.
general. So yeah, I want to say originally no. So what I did originally was I just did horror or not horror because
okay,
because I was like, well, how do you break down? Because you can break down even just drama into 10 different subgenres. So, that's, I didn't want to go, I didn't want to create so many options. So I tried to keep it simple. And besides the horror community being the ones that were the most responsive to me, that was the one that was getting ordered all the time anyways. Nobody ever bought the non-horror option. So that's why I was like, it was fine for me because the original box, I mean, if you look at the box now, it's a black box. It's got a bloody handprint on it and all the stuff in there is, like, the fidgets will be like skeletons or mummies or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Originally, it was just a regular brown box, and it was definitely more cutesy, I guess.
okay.
So because with the name, and I know the name is weird, but when you consider it in the concept that it was never intended to be horror in the first place, like primarily horror, it was just intended to just have a really cool name for our cat, like to throw our cat's name in there.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason. So, so even though the box looks completely different, the cat stickers that started on the box are still in there. So that's still the one weird thing that's going to be in there, all this horror stuff, and then a bunch of like cutesy cat.
Well, you
cat
just gotta.
stickers are also in there.
You just gotta stick a fucking gnarly looking scary cat in your logo.
I mean,
So,
we did that originally at one point.
Is Mama the cat? I got confused.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was gonna suggest a hag initially for Mama. I'm like, you need like an old scary
Let's
lady,
see
but if it's a
Mama.
cat,
Oh,
then
look
you
at
need a
Mama.
cat.
Oh.
Yeah,
Evan,
there you go.
Evan, look at Mama. You keep talking. Look at this. It's so cute. He keep cutting people off. Hey, it's so cute. How old is Miss Mama?
Mama's 3.
Aw.
She's
Y'all
a
see
little
that cat?
tortoiseshell.
Nice.
And it just I think the idea was just something kind of silly and stupid was because originally we also were going to do a book box, so it was kind of like, and everybody was doing those, so the idea was just going to be like, yeah, but this one is a box from Mama, and Mama's the best cat in the world. So it was just a dumb little idea, but the name just stuck because I didn't want to. We were getting traction and finally getting noticed, and everybody was saying the name, and I was like, well, the name is just weird as hell to have associated with horror. I was like, but fuck it, whatever.
No.
It's like who cares? I mean, because look at other stuff. I mean, like look at even horror people that do merchandise. So like Cavity Colors doesn't tell me it's a horror brand. Cavity Colors could tell me that it is something to do with dental hygienics. Like I don't know. So then that also just made me kind of ease up to the idea of like keeping the name because any reason to throw our cat out there, I definitely will.
Dude, Boxes from Mama is a good name, and especially because it's interesting hearing you kind of like look at your marketing in reverse. Because to me, it sounds like you got in it because you're a film fan, and it's like, oh, maybe I'll make like somebody who doesn't really know Hitchcock or like something older. I'll turn them there. But then everybody, like the fucking people who just watch movies endlessly are horror fans, and it's the Boxes from Mama. I feel like it's perfect for horror too. I mean, other than the literal movie Mama, women traditionally watch more horror movies than men. And ultimately your market isn't movie related. I used to work for a company that would I'm going to try and avoid naming them because we did not part ways kindly, but they were a startup, and their market was that when you subscribe to us, you get a designer, a clothing designer, and they'll pick out what you should wear, and then they'll send you a box of clothing. It'll have a whole outfit or whatever you want. It could be underwear, socks, blouses. It was women's clothing.
Mhm.
And you know, ultimately what you're not really shopping for clothes, you're shopping for somebody to see you and kind of take a look at who you are and give you a suggestion. They would have a little letter included on why they picked it.
Uh-huh.
And that's what you're really selling. And the idea of you looking through my letterbox and being like, it's to me, it's almost like a challenge. It's all right, bitch. What are you gonna, Ryan? Try and send me something, which honestly is kind of enticing on its own. But then to think that you might actually find something that is up my alley that I didn't know about, where else could you do that?
Right, and that was, I mean, it's kind of interesting to hear you like mention like reverse marketing, because the whole thing of what we're at now, where we are now, and how it is now, it's all done in reverse, because it was put out there as a nondescript package service. Essentially, it didn't. If you wanted gory shit in there, you could, but if you didn't, you didn't need to have it in there. And so, but then now as it changed, I had to put that challenge aspect into it, and that comes in through, for one, that's just my favorite thing in the world, to show somebody something that they haven't seen before.
Ditto.
That was like, this straight up rips. I love it. You know, and at the same time, it could also be like, you know, I've seen this movie before, but I hadn't even thought about it in years, and this dude just like put it in the box, and now I have it. You know, so there's that aspect of it too. Because with especially with the pre-owned, which is where I can, you know, that's where I can really hunt, because everything is going to be obviously play tested, because I always talk about my physical media collection and the collection that I had, because I'm not going to get it unless I would put it in my own personal collection. If the case is busted, I have replacement cases. That's fine. As long as the insert is, as long as the artwork insert is fine and the disc is mint, I'm good.
What about a slip cover? You like slip covers?
So I do. I do. I don't find a lot of things that would have them. Even when I was collecting, I wasn't super, like, I loved Vinegar Syndrome slip covers, but I wasn't one of those that would buy the slip cover by itself.
I haven't done it either, but I thought about it.
I have thought about it. I thought about it for spookies.
I'm the kind of person who's literally thrown away slip covers.
And I used to do that too. I used to do that a long time ago.
It makes me cringe.
Me too.
It wasn't until like Vinegar Syndrome, because before them, I mean, dude, if I bought a copy of a film from Best Buy, Target, Walmart, whatever, I didn't care as much about the slipcover. And then when I started buying Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, who I think have some of the best slipcovers in the game, and
I would say that's kind of how I am. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, this is different, and so it started to make me kind of think about and it started to make me think about things a little bit differently. Yeah.
But the Walmart ones and stuff is the ones that I usually toss.
Yeah, that was
it looks nice, because sometimes some slipcovers have a different cover than the one on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
One.
Yes.
Also, it looks very nice on your shelf. It don't look basic as fuck. It really spruces up the decor. So if you're a physical media collector,
of the just blue.
Okay.
Like I like because it looks the same, like it's clean, you know?
Yeah, but if you have all slipcovers, it looks better. I don't know.
So
Ryan,
well, with label releases, the thing about slipcovers with the label releases that I loved is because if you got the slipcover, usually there was reversible artwork
on the inside,
and it would usually be the original poster. So you could have the slipcover be the commissioned artwork, and then when you take off the slipcover, there's the original poster.
And I do that all the time.
I love that. I do it with Screen Factory releases all the time.
Period.
You know, Ryan, so I think we're a perfect sounding board for your company. You've got 3 different kind of levels of collectors here. Evan, as you know, is living in Waynesboro in a shed in an undisclosed location, but he's got a little collection. And I think his collection is like shit that's super important.
It's just all in boxes.
Yeah. Well, massive. Do you have a number?
No, I've never
Okay.
counted them.
So,
I mean, shelves and shelves and shelves full when I had a house, but
so again, Evan doesn't know the number. I do. I think I have around between 1,500 and 2,000. I have an app for him. Blu-rays, I mean VHS and everything. And then there's Terrell, who has
A lot.
you got a ballpark?
6,000 now.
Yeah.
Blu-rays. That's just Blu-rays. Doesn't count my DVDs. But I've been collecting all my life, basically, like physical media. So that's
Dude,
my thing.
So when I first met Terrell and he came over, he did something that much
you
to
make
the
me want to log mine and count them.
I
need
coming
to.
on the show soon. I'll
Much
count
to
'em.
the dismay of my wife, he came over and looked at my collection and said, "Oh, you only have one of these?" And I think you were talking about Scream. And much like you,
I bought you those movies.
You did after, but when you first came over, you're like, "Oh, you only
have
have
them on Blu-ray or something like that."
Yeah,
Blu-rays. Yep,
dude. And I remember being like, "Wait, what?" And I had that moment where I had gone to Amoeba, which is our local like record store, video store, with the box. And dude, the worst one was Masters of Horror. When those first came out, they all had like the Walmart slipcover, which I kept. I had each one for every movie. And then this is my brain, pre-Terrell. I brought that all to Amoeba, sold it for like probably $100, the whole thing. And then I turned around and bought the collection in one stupid, actually, I think it's like a mausoleum. You remember that, Terrell? Like,
yeah.
And it's all the discs are just in plastic slits.
I
There's
hate
no
that.
trading cards. It sucked. And that haunts me. But also when Terrell was like, "Oh, I just keep buying the movie and keep them all together so that I have like VHS, DVD, different releases."
If I like it, because I love Scream. That's a good example. So that makes sense.
But
yeah, definitely.
Now I do. And I remember Oksana was just like, "What the fuck? Like, you don't need to do that." I was like, "Well, why am I getting rid of them? Like, if I like them, it is kind of about the format and like a love of the format."
It is 100%. I mean, and I'll go when I had, I still do have probably, so like I said, it was over 1,500. I don't remember the exact amount. That was the second collection that I had.
Damn.
I had it when I was I think I honestly can't remember. Most of my early 20s are kind of a blur, and so I don't remember if it was just like moving out of a place on bad terms or if it was a storm or something. But I had probably about close to 1,000 that was lost, and then I built it up again, and now I've got like 10 right now. But during the time of the one that I sold, so I mean, it was just like I'm assuming like on board with what Terrell had. So for me, like Hellraiser. So I've got the DVD, the Blu-ray, the VHS. I mean, hell, if I could find the Laserdisc, I'd get that. I'd get the soundtrack on whatever format I can find it, because it wasn't just enough to have Hellraiser. I needed Hellraiser on all of the formats. Because I have to, because that's just because that was, and that's why having to sell it. All of that, it's still painful every day, because that becomes a representation of you. It's who you are on some shelves, and then
period. I can't do it.
When you get rid of it, a part of you is gone, and then you have to rebuild it. And that's hard, for sure.
So when you have every time it comes to getting Terrell a gift for a birthday or for Christmas or something, there's this daunting task of like, do you dare even step into the minefield to trying to get him a Blu-ray? I think the way that I've learned to navigate that is just try and go regional, bootleg, just something that wouldn't be on his radar. Do you have to do something similar when you're building these out? Like if you got Terrell and you look and you're like, holy shit, this guy,
I have everything.
He's on YouTube,
Almost.
and it's all physical media, and he's buying every Blu-ray Tuesday. Like, are you like shit, or like, how do you approach somebody like that?
So for somebody like that, like, it is literally probably the most fun, because so the reason, and that's why I always talk about the fact that this was born because of having to sell my own collection, so that way people can kind of know what mindset I'm in.
Mhm.
And so if I'm looking for things, basically enough to be like, all right, this guy might know his shit, you know, just to kind of give a little bit of security to people. So what that's going to do for me is essentially my mind is going to go, yeah, my mind will go to regional, my mind will go to SOV,
Mhm.
my mind will go to, I mean, without actually looking at anything and combing through somebody's content, my mind will go to, things from Spain, from Mexico,
Oh,
things like
yep.
that, as opposed to strictly because you could go Italian, but most people have seen most of the good
Yep.
Italians. So that's why go to Spain, go to Mexico, especially with Mexico. There's some phenomenal horror films from the 70s and 80s,
Mhm.
and there was a bunch of Spanish giallo films. Vinegar Syndrome did some box sets of those. So there's always little pockets within collectors and people that are big on physical media and horror that don't get explored too much beyond a box set here and there. So there are little pockets that I can find to try to exploit, which is what I do.
Nice. So
Do you-
what? Oh, sorry. Go, Russell.
No, I just imagine like that's a good way to go. But I could also imagine Terrell opening and be like, "Oh fuck, subtitles!" Like, do you have an option where you could be like, "No subtitles"? Or
I
I
watch
don't, but
subtitles.
You do.
put that in the
I
show
like
notes.
Mads. Remember Mads? I love that movie.
Mads
I
is good.
It was great. I like subtitles sometimes. It's just I'm
You gotta
a
be in the mood
slasher
for
guy.
it.
I like everything, but
It's
my
like
number one is
sex.
slashers.
You just got to be in the mood, you know.
Ugh. Evan. Okay,
So-
so back to Ryan.
Well, slashers are my number one as well.
Yep.
So, so I'll agree with you there, and I'm going to disagree on subtitles for just personal because I have subtitles on 24/7.
What?
Okay.
I used to do
I'm
that.
one of
My
those.
friend
I
does
am one
that
of those.
too.
Yep.
I have to. That's
Because if you
again.
can't hear, or if you can read what they're saying too. I don't know.
It's just an ADHD thing. So and it's like it's the same reason why I have fidgets in the box because I need them because they help me. Because my brain will wander.
Yep.
And so I want to stay focused. And it's the same thing, even though they are literally speaking my language. By looking at it, it helps my brain focus. So I am no stranger to subtitles. But if there's a lot of people that just would really rather not.
Oh.
They have nothing really against it, but they would really rather not put that in the order notes. Or if somebody hits a character limit on the order notes, email.
Okay.
I tell people if you have a spreadsheet of a physical media collection, send it to me. I've gone that far. Terrell, I don't want yours.
I have a lot.
But I'm just kidding. But yeah, and when it comes to that, most people I would say really just kind of go for the full blind experience.
It's fun. Like I
It
played a
is.
horror pack for so long, but I
It
have a
is
whole
fun.
bag of doubles.
So
Yeah.
it's a fun experience because I said, and then even if so, in the instance with Josh, using Oculus, it was still I still got the experience that I wanted. I still got the reaction that I wanted because even though he's seen the film before, he loved the film, didn't have the film, and now he's like, no, I'm gonna go watch it tonight. Did exactly what I aimed to do. So yeah.
Have you ever got a person who just disliked everything you just threw in that box? And what was that reception? How did you handle that?
No, I haven't had that happen just yet.
Mhm.
So this is about 6 months old. Box is
Oh,
about
it's
6
new.
months old.
Okay. Nice.
It is new. Yep. And not as much on that front because I did have one guy I did a pre-owned for, or he went ahead and purchased a pre-owned, and the movie that I gave him is a really weird made-for-TV movie from the late '80s called Bad Ronald. Warner Archive put it out, and as far as the physical media release, and it's a really weird story. Basically, sociopathic teenagers, a new family that moves next door. He's got a little bit too much interest in the kids in that family, and it spirals down from there. And it wasn't a dislike, but he was like, "What the fuck did you send me?
Oh, good, he
Like,
pulled
what?
it up.
Yeah.
It's a pervert teenager. Oh my god, I ain't never heard of this movie.
Oh, 1974. Okay, so I was way off. But it was a made-for-TV movie, I believe, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And it's wild. And so, but it's one of those movies where even if I can't get you to like it, you know, you may later, because sometimes it takes a couple of viewings, but at least if you can get to that, like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, what was this?
He
And
lived in the
just make it-
walls. Oh my god,
Yep.
I want to watch this.
This looks
It's
great.
good. It's
Yeah.
I've never
good.
seen it. Okay.
It's wild that a movie like this could be like. Did you see the PG rating on the back of that thing?
Yep.
Ratings were wild back in the day.
I know. Yeah, because PG, you were able to get one F-bomb in a PG movie.
Yeah.
You could have some nudity in PG, and yeah, it is wild. This movie is definitely wild.
Well, you
It's
won
hard to find
points here.
something that'll. It's hard to find something that will
Always.
legitimately scare somebody though, because let's be honest. I mean, I don't think there's too many horror fans nowadays, especially like with us that maybe get actually scared that often.
Yeah.
So I'm never looking for anything scary. When I'm looking for horror to find for somebody, like in an instance like with Bad Ronald, like so something that is just bizarre, like just completely bizarre. Like if I had, which I could get probably, but like if somebody had told me a bunch of stuff and they have never seen any Canadian exploitation films from the 80s, I'm going to give them The Pit or Kathy's Curse or something like that. You know, if you watch Kathy's Curse, like I think everybody should watch Kathy's Curse. I don't think anybody's going to say it's a good movie, but they're going to come away with it and probably really, really enjoy it. So I'll look for those types of things too, things that are just kind of hidden, overlooked, because I don't keep up with a lot of stuff that's super new, to be honest with you.
Really? I was gonna ask you what you liked recently.
I don't. So that's only because one. So I'm a dad. So I have 3 kids.
Oh wow,
Um,
okay.
And so this is my everything, you know. But so I'm stay at home and everything like that. So you can't just put on a horror movie at 3 o'clock in the afternoon
Yeah.
when you've got kids around. So so my watch time is significantly less too. But there will be ones that catch my eye that are newer. So like
Mhm.
Mads, The
That's great.
Substance, Terrifier 3.
Hell yeah.
So I got to go see those. But I'm not concerned with the rat race of I've got to keep up with what's current because I'm not a content creator. Even though
Yeah.
I have to market myself and I'm shit at doing it. Like I'm not a content creator. So like if you go to my TikTok and my Instagram, like it's like this dude sucks at selling his product. Yeah, because I'm just a guy. But so I don't have to try to get views off of seeing the newest thing. And I find that when you're trying to do that, for me, I can only speak to me, I stop caring as much about the movie that I'm watching because I'm thinking about the movie that also just came out that I have to watch too. So I wasn't slowing down enough. And so even though I've seen a lot, there is still so much, even from the past 10 years, that has been missed that I haven't even thought about or known about, and it can have people in it that I'm aware of. Like I didn't know that the guy who plays I didn't really watch the show, but on Stranger Things, the guy that plays the guy that ends up being the guy that works at the ice cream store in
Mhm.
Stranger Things, whatever his name is, he's in a horror comedy where he plays a serial killer. And so like random things like that, where I'm like, what the hell is this? That's what I'm interested in. I don't care if it came out in 2014. You know what I mean? I'm just not concerned with keeping up. Although I need to see Nosferatu. That's
Oh, that
one
was
I
good.
watch because I'm a big Eggers fan, so I'm definitely in that camp.
What's your?
Are you
what's
talking
your
about
favorite?
Spree?
Oh.
What?
The horror comedy that you're talking? Are you talking about Spree with Joe Keery?
Yep.
Yeah. We're fans of that movie. That's what I was thinking you were referring to.
Spree is wild. So that's something where it's like again, I had no idea that even existed. But Terrell, what were you saying? What's my favorite? What?
Oh, you said you're an Eggers fan. Sorry, I lost the train of thought. Evan cut me off. But yeah, so you're an Eggers fan. What's your ranking so far without Nosferatu? Out of the 3.
Okay, so Northman's at the bottom.
Okay.
Heard a lot of that recently.
This Lighthouse,
only-
Witch, and Northman.
That's me.
Oh, that's your.
So
Oh, you like Lighthouse?
I love Lighthouse.
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
Explain.
So-
Let's talk about it. Why?
So
Fart
because
jokes galore. Talk to me.
so there's a couple of things that people probably don't like within Eggers films. Then I do think that he is a bit pretentious. And I will openly say that because even though I love him and I love his work, I can be critical and I can be like, yeah, this guy's a little bit full of himself. Like, we don't need to do all the aspect ratio stuff. We don't need to, but I love that you did. So it becomes so there's that aspect to it. But for the Lighthouse, it's because the entire time that is a movie that made me consistently say, what the hell am I watching? What is going on? And it comes down to from the language to honestly Willem Dafoe and
He
then
scares
just
me.
that shit ending. Yeah, he's terrifying. And so all those things together, the Witch was I saw the Witch.
I mean, the whole
And,
conceit of the Lighthouse is wild. Like, just a cosmic horror comedy just
I
shouldn't.
know.
That shouldn't work.
No,
Like,
it shouldn't. We shouldn't be able to have that completely bonkers ending, and then literally about 45 minutes ago there was a fart joke. Like it shouldn't work.
Horrible.
But like it blends together in such a beautiful way. And for the Northmen, for me, that's just because, and sometimes I don't know if it's my own train of thought, my own mental headspace, but it took me about 3 times to get through that movie.
Really? Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I was getting bored, and so like it
That
was
was
just
me with Lighthouse.
Really? That's
Yes.
totally.
I was so bored and mad. Right, Russ? We saw that in the theater together. I was like, "What is this? What are
Yeah.
we watching?" Because
You
I like
know-
The Witch. I like Northman.
Yeah,
and
we're
I
in the
love
presence of
Nosferatu.
Lighthouse haters right now.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, I am also a shameless metalhead horror fan, so the Northman
too.
kind of scratched an itch I wanted. And like whenever you deal with like Vikings and shit, you don't traditionally get like a pretentious history nerd doing a take, and you don't get to see them eating mushrooms before they pillage a village. So
exactly. Stuff
yeah.
like that was cool. It just, and so it's the only reason and why I put that out there is that a lot of times it's the fact that I probably was trying to watch that movie at 10:30 at night. Probably not like the
Yeah.
best type of thing. Where I was like, what the hell am I watching? Because honestly, so you're going to the metal perspective. I just assumed I wanted Robert Eggers' version of like an Amon Amarth song.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I thought I was gonna get, and then so I'm watching this, and I'm watching that weird ass scene with Willem Dafoe and the kid and everything like that, and I'm like, what is going on in this movie? And it kept taking me out, so it took me a little bit to get into it, but it still ranks as my lowest for it.
Dude, Ryan, I think that's my exact problem with The Lighthouse is I wanted a nautical claustrophobic kind of like almost like Roman Polanski apartment trilogy style thing, and instead I got like fart jokes and
Yeah,
and I have
weird.
this thing with A24 where I felt like they kept trying to get like an animal mascot in every movie, so the fucking seagull was
The
kind of like
birds.
bothering me.
Yeah.
Also, it didn't help that I had just watched a movie called Cold Skin. Have you seen that?
I have not.
So Cold Skin is also a lighthouse horror movie.
I like
where
Cold
there's-
Skin, where those creatures like crawl
Oh,
up
yeah,
the
that-
fucking thing.
yep,
Yeah, that movie
yeah,
was
that
real.
was
Cold
good.
Skin is tight, and the thing is with Cold Skin, it's kind of like a Assault on Precinct 13 kind of like Western, where a new guy gets deployed. There's an old dude who's been in this lighthouse forever, and the problem is that there's like these Lovecraftian sea creatures that attack every night. So
Hell
it's
yeah.
this like Western standoff in this like lighthouse, and they literally kind of do like the fort thing, where it's like, why are we even here? Like, why are we fucking fighting for our lives?
Yeah.
We should leave.
Just leave.
And it's more like action. I don't know. I think I brought a bunch of baggage with me into Lighthouse, and it was just not what I was looking for.
That's because I mean I didn't catch on to the Witch until a little bit later, so I think it was actually more of the hype surrounding the upcoming Lighthouse.
Yep.
Which is what got me to go back to the Witch, and so I was already kind of, because the Witch, I was not necessarily scared or anything like that. I was just unnerved and slightly weirded out by some stuff, like just kind of skin crawl kind of thing. And I got those same vibes from The Lighthouse, and I owe it to Willem Dafoe. But I was surprised. I didn't. That was the movie too, where I was like, Robert Pattinson is more than just Edward Cullen. Because I hadn't really seen him in anything until that, and I was like, holy shit, you know. And then so there was just a bunch of good things about it that I think kind of had me settle into it a lot easier. And then, but yeah, you going in was the same thing of me with kind of The Northman, is that I just expected just like a nice, pretty Eggers Way of an Amon Amarth song of just pillaging and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
And I just got something that was completely different. So it took my brain a little bit to accept that it's not what I thought it was going to be.
You got Bjork.
To turn away from it. Yeah.
So, do you watch a lot of movies in the theater?
No. That's cost, man. And again, with being a dad. So, because you just don't have the time to do it. But even before, man, I never did a whole lot of them. It's got to be something pretty special. So, like, I would have seen Nosferatu in the theaters. I saw Terrifier 3 in theaters.
Hell yeah.
Completely empty. Completely
What?
empty, except for, yeah.
Really?
It was wild, but still, I mean, you know, because that was a movie that I wanted to see in the theater specifically to see it with a crowd.
Bummer. Yeah.
I like
usually
I
I
feel
could
like
care less. To be honest.
it's a different, like, it's a rad experience in a different way though, to get to watch a movie by yourself too. Like, because
cool
those are
as hell.
some
I'm
of
not
my
gonna say
most
it isn't.
memorable, like experiences at the theaters, when I'd go late one night or in the middle of the day or something when there was like nobody there, and do a screening alone. It's just, I don't know, there's something cool about that too.
It is, but the thing, and this is where, because I have like, I'm not a super, I'm a bit of an introvert, especially in public. So for some reason, if I'm in an empty theater and I go to the bathroom scene in Terrifier 3 when he credit card swipes the dude with the chainsaw, like, what I want to do is just kind of loudly be like, oh my God, but if it's empty, I'm not going to do that because I feel self-conscious. But I want it to be around a whole group of people so that we're all just screaming and yelling and having a good time. And didn't get that with it. But, like I said, but seeing it and experiencing it, it is definitely, you know, it is definitely fantastic, but I don't do it that often.
Yeah, I only asked because we were talking about Eggers, and my first experience with The Witch, I just imagined you there and demanding subtitles. The first time I watched that movie, I didn't know what the fuck they were saying, and I was in the back of a giant theater, and Chris Columbus was there, and so was Eggers, and he was just saying, I found the new Tarantino. We've done it. This guy's going to be famous. And he just pumped him up so fucking hard. And then the movie came on. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck these people are saying. And then I watched it again with Terrell, and it was much better. And then I watched it again at my house with with the whole group when we were doing the Overlook thing, and it crushed.
Yeah,
So,
the
I don't
first
know.
time I saw that, I don't remember the situation, but I didn't like it as much the first time I watched it. It took a second watch for me for The Witch before I was like, oh yeah, I fucking really like this.
3 for me, yeah. And then I was like, I love it.
And I can understand that, but the reason that I dialed in so much because I watched it on Netflix with subtitles.
Yeah, there you go.
So I was already ingrained with what they were saying because I didn't like because of that language style. Again, just for me personally, I mean, if I miss one word out of that sentence, I don't know what the hell they're saying.
Right.
Because of just the weird stylistic choice of trying to keep it accurate, but it's like I don't speak that every day. So if I miss that one word, now I may think that you're saying something that you're not saying, and so 5 minutes later I'm totally confused.
Yeah. And Ralph Ineson, when you first, it's our first introduction to that dude, and he's just got that crazy bass voice, and it's like, it doesn't help when you're trying to understand.
No.
It's like, what the fuck is he saying?
It's like if you try to watch Peaky Blinders or something without subtitles. Like, I'm lost, man.
Now,
So you said, yep.
Go ahead, Terrell.
No, you said slashes was your favorite subgenre. Was there any other subgenres that like you gravitate toward? Like, do you like found footage? Do you like?
I love found footage. I'm a massive found footage fan. I would say so. I really I can tell you slasher is definitely number one.
Same.
Apart from that, there's really no particular order for the rest of them. But what I really gravitate towards, I love found footage because like that's almost like it's like slashers where they're kind of like pizza for me. Even bad pizza is still pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love found footage because when it's good, like when it's like Hell House LLC level or like First Grave Encounters for modern examples, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I really I don't do too much paranormal. Um, and I'm honestly really not that into everything within the A24 umbrella. I'm very burnt out on.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's got to be something particular because I don't think it always hits. So like I love Hereditary, I can't stand Midsummer.
Oh
Um,
yeah, my brother. Hell yeah.
I think Midsummer is so boring. And the ending is great, but I didn't need to sit through all of that to get to the ending. So just my personal opinion. So
I love it.
but
I hate it too.
I find A24 becomes a genre unto itself almost. Um, and a
It's
lot of
what
those
I feel like it's turned into a culture is what ruined it. Like it
it has.
started out as like an art house
Yeah,
movie production company, and now it's turned into this fucking cool LA culture thing A24
it
has, and it's like
it
their
has.
curation and their stuff has
I
gotten
get it. And they
weirder.
trick you too damn much. Like
Mm-hmm.
it comes at night. Nothing came at night. I just watched Baby Girl. It said all this stuff about it's supposed to be sexy. Wasn't no sex in that movie. I know Nicole Kidman is old, but bitch, there was just fingering. I was like, what is this? I gotta review that in the next episode. But that was a mess. But A24 be tricking bitches. They
They
do.
do because it started out. Yeah, I'll agree. I mean, like it started out as something in particular, but then they tried to put too much under the umbrella that they started, and to where now you can't. Now, if it says A24, which I guess may be a good thing, I don't know. Now I don't know what I'm in for at all. But I'm also just kind of tired of a lot of times their marketing is completely off base
Yeah.
than what the film is nowadays because we've come now there's so many other types of films under the belt from it's not just Hereditary, It Follows, all that crap anymore. So now it's a lot wider, and they're still deploying a lot of the same marketing tactics, which I find to be very very confusing for me.
Yeah. A24 puts out so many movies that are not horror or
Mhm.
like even
Mhm.
commercially successful that I think they really put a lot of onus on It Comes at Night and putting a red door in that trailer, trying to like market off of the Insidious marketing. And
A mess.
dude, so yeah, we're just the ones that lose there, but
They're turning into canon films almost.
damn, yeah.
I mean, they kind of are because I mean they're really getting into kind of an exploitative edge to their films, more so in their marketing. But that is, I mean, look, that exploitation films marketing is exactly what all that was. Because going back to just like the movie night boxes, because even though we have horror right now, there is growth and different opportunities within other subgenres of horror. Like for instance, like I mean, I definitely want to do one that is tailored to cult exploitation
Oh
because
hell
that's
yeah.
where there is so much within that umbrella for giallo because there's an immense amount like it doesn't always have to be um, Argento or Fulci like there's so much other giallo and then even down to just like classics because even though you can put all that in the show notes I do want to kind of like or in the order notes I want to do kind of explain and have different options if somebody is a total newbie you can go into there, but I'm not going to send you like I'm not going to send you like if you're a total newbie and I had a newbie box, I'm not going to send you the ring. I love the ring, but I'm not going to send you the ring. Like I would honestly probably send you Horror of Dracula, Hammer Horrors,
Okay.
Dracula, because even if you haven't seen the Universal one, you're more
Mhm.
familiar with it. Even if you are a newbie, you're familiar with Bela Lugosi. So you probably are familiar with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, and so that's more so what I would want to do, and I want to expand to really have those different umbrellas.
Do you include like writing? Like when I mentioned that company, I really feel like what people are paying for is just this professional curator, stylist writing, hey, I looked at your stuff and here's why I picked this. Do you do that too? Like, oh, you're a newbie, so I chose hammer horror, which is a genre that was later celebrate. Like, do you do that?
Not at this time, only because, like I said, the vast majority of them are more in like I want the pure random experience. I
Yeah.
definitely see that is more popular. However, um, there have been a couple of times where I have somebody had more of a deep dive into what they're trying to point me in the right direction, and yes, that's what I did. So on the packing slip, where I would normally put like a thank you note or something like that. Yeah, put in exactly why I picked this one, and that because if it's a blind experience, I can't really put much on there. We just be
Yeah.
like, hey, this is one I think doesn't get enough love, and that's pretty much about it. But when it is specific, oh yeah, like because at least you'll at least go into it with the full story of why I picked it.
Man, I'm telling you, I think that's where your growth will be when you write. Like, I would include a little thing, and you could even talk about the format. Like, hey, Arrow put out this collection, and a lot of collectors just disregarded their DVDs. But these DVD, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I feel like you have a product where the movie could almost even become secondary, where it's like, oh, I've seen this movie and I own it, but because you've packaged it in this way, thinking about me, I'll fucking throw it on right now. Like,
I agree.
dude, it's what a good idea, especially when everybody's out there trying to
Thank you.
like become famous on social media and everything's kind of like, look at the highlight reel of my life. And then all they really want is somebody to like look in and talk about them and see them. And then you're like, well, I do that. So
Yeah.
how much does the box cost?
So the boxes are $32.99 because so that goes into and now brand new and pre-owned are the exact same price. Which because to do the pre-owned, if somebody were to give me a lot of information, I may have to spend a little bit more to get to get the right title. So I was going back and forth, like I get it if it's pre-owned, it should be cheaper, but it's like if you're doing pre-owned, you've probably seen a lot because that was the only reason that I have it for that. So just to kind of open up that field for me, and yeah, no, and actually, to what you're saying is that yeah, the overall idea of it, yes, it is driven by the film, but the film is largely secondary
Yeah.
because it's about two things. One, to be I love there's tons of people that I love that are on social media that are film reviewers that just make videos on TikTok or Instagram. I have a bunch of them that I love, but I want it to be the antithesis of that. I want it to be the complete opposite because I think it's oversaturated, and I think that if people get caught up in a rat race of saying current, so I want to do something different because I was like, if I tried to do that, I'm gonna go nuts. If I tried to like make sure that like what I was putting in there was recent, was current, so I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go insane, and so I wanted to be the antithesis of that, but it was the memories of the high school stoner that worked at Blockbuster that always
Yep.
knew the really cool titles.
Exactly. That's what my favorite thing about your services is that
That's exactly what
it's
I'm
the
When you
trying to do.
closest.
said weed or stoner,
I
you got
know.
excited. That's
No.
the only reason.
What I was gonna say
That's
is
why
it's
you
the
jumped
closest.
up.
It's the closest way to I don't know to replicate the video store experience via the internet. Because
And that's what I'm
that
trying
was
to
my
do.
favorite part about going to the video store was like the two different towns I lived in. One was there was this guy, this paraplegic dude who ran the video store, and I used to always hang out in there and like we'd talk about movies, we'd play games in there together and stuff, and like I learned so much from him. And then later when we moved to Colorado, there was this lady named Angie, this old Jewish lady who'd been running this store for like her whole life, and she knew so fucking much about movies. And like she got like when you go in these stores and you get to know these people and they see what you rent time and time again, they got to know you.
Yeah.
So their curation would get incredible because they just knew exactly what you liked, and I feel like that's what you're doing. If like the more you return and get more boxes, I feel like the better it might get. you know?
100%. And then the thing about it is that even though, and I do stress, is that this is about 6 months old. It is very new, which means that there's not a lot that can be put into it. So, but as there is growth, I've outlined the ways that I would want to grow and improve time and time again, and that comes into being able to acquire different things,
Sure.
to be able to eventually be able to literally have more label releases in my boxes. Because for now, I mean the example of like Arrow put out this box set, so everybody gave away their DVDs. That's a great concept because that's exactly essentially what I'm doing now, right? So if Arrow puts out their Herschel Gordon Lewis set, well, I can probably find a Herschel Gordon Lewis DVD of like Wizard of Gore or something relatively easily. So, bam, right there, you know. So, but it would definitely expand because the idea of the person at the video store curating was 100% where the idea of actually curating it, because I could just put random movies in there if I wanted to, but it's not fun. There's no, because then it's nothing more than another algorithm. It's just an algorithm that has a face and a name. But algorithms they don't truly know anything about you. They're just guessing. So I wanted to actually do something because that's what I had was the stoner kid at Blockbuster, because that was the kid that was doing nothing in his free time but smoking and watching movies. So he was the one that was like, "Hey, have you seen Chopping Mall?" I was like, "What the hell is that?" and that's what I want to do.
Yeah, incredible. What a like. It feels obvious now that you're saying it that somebody should be doing this, and
Yeah.
you know, I think you might be the man for it. So
and it's a bit of a different gamble for people, because you know, and I think there's not as many collectors that like big hardcore collectors that really go into the products. And I've had people that I knew about or that I was connected with many years ago that were kind of like, it's cute, but I don't really see it being like anything, you know, because physical media sales, blah 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 blah. And I was like, well,
whatever.
I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
but like at the end of the day, you know, it's still just something that is unique because, like, yes, I can't give you the Screen Factory title that went out of print last month. I can't get you that, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm still going, like, just at least knowing that this dude in Louisiana dug for me and then built this box, you know, around me, is something that can't really be replicated. And there's a pretty good chance. I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm all in all 9 out of 10 for getting films that people haven't seen before.
Oh yeah,
Which
I
is
believe
insane.
it.
Which
That's
is
great.
insane. That's what I like, because like I said, I can't guarantee you're going to like it, because you may hate it one day, but then maybe you put it on a week later and you like it. That happens to us all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not as concerned about that. It is the fact of, like, I've never seen this, I've never heard of it, but I can tell why it was picked for me, because, and then including exactly why.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
Well, this is great. And before we go, thank you for joining us, by the way. But
Yeah, thank you,
where
guys.
can people go to get these boxes? What's your social media? Where if you have updates that people can go follow and catch up with you? Because this is awesome. I love physical media, and I'm gonna have to get me one of these boxes.
Yeah, so we are Boxes for Mama everywhere. Primarily, I would say the most active is TikTok, because that's where it started. It was originally supposed to be on the TikTok shop because I wanted easy.
Yeah.
But then I had some issues with that, so they ended up just opening up boxesformama.com. So, but all of our social media has a link tree or just a link directly on there. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, Facebook, Blue Sky, and YouTube. There are some videos that I've started putting out that are specifically for YouTube, and then I try to re-upload some of the TikTok stuff on there as well. But there's always wherever you follow us at, all updates will go there.
Cool.
So, but I would say TikTok and YouTube are probably the best bets.
We'll get those in the descriptions for people listening. Go get
Appreciate it.
yourself a
Thank you.
box.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. Right now we're doing I don't know when you guys are going to be putting it up. When do you guys put this up?
Thursday.
Okay, so then there will be a couple days left. It's 20% off through Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Oh,
you got a
cool.
on our
deal. You got a
website.
special. Oh,
Yep,
okay,
so it's
20% off.
So it's
Okay.
20% off on the movie night boxes and the non-painted disc nooks. Because the painted ones, then you got
Time.
labor into it. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Sure.
but the non-painted ones and the movie night boxes, brand new or pre-owned, is 20% off all the way through midnight on the 14th.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect. Nice. Well, thanks for joining us here at Footage Foreplay, our crazy asses. And thanks for sharing. This is an interesting story, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Because 6 months and you already getting all this, that's great.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
I'm excited to see where this goes. Period.
Yeah, and you
Me
got your
too.
work cut out
And
for
you-
for Terrell
Yeah.
there.
Period. And you got to go watch Nosferatu and let us know what you think of that too. Period.
I will.
It's
I
streaming
will.
now. Yep.
Good. Okay. So I will
Mhm.
check it out. And thank you guys so much for
Mhm.
letting me come on here and talk and bullshit with you guys and then talk about
Yep.
my business. I was, I'm incredibly grateful. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
well, we
thank you.
enjoyed it. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Love you, Ryan.
Absolutely,
Thanks for
guys.
hanging out.
Until
All right,
next
thank
time,
you,
y'all.
guys.
Bye.
Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all. Wait,
Thanks
Ryan,
for listening to Footage Foreplay. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a review, sharing it with a friend, or simply hitting like. These small gestures are a great free way to support this mayhem, and if you find some footage we should be fondling, email us at footageforeplay@gmail.com. Check back every Tuesday and Thursday for new episodes, and remember, don't skip the foreplay.